The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to An Open Door on the Arts. My name is Barbara Richer, and as ever, I am your host as we travel the Capital Region, meeting the many amazing people that enrich our lives. We have two incredible guests today, so I'm going to get right to it. I will introduce them both, and then we'll go back and forth and talk to them. There's been something going on here in Albany, if you haven't known, for 36 years, I would say, and a group that's been here for 50 years. It's called Vanguard Albany Symphony Orchestra. And we have one of their past presidents here with us today to talk about a history of the Vanguard Albany Symphony Showhouse that's celebrating its 36th year with a celebration of a spring symphony. Their showhouse for this year, which is very, very exciting. And Mary Korzinski, who has been with them for 15 years as an interior designer, and she doesn't look old enough to have been with them that long, but she's done some amazing rooms for them, and I'm so eager for you to meet both of them and to hear about this great undertaking. So Georgiana, I know that you are a past president,
yes,
that you were a showhouse coordinator,
yes,
a design coordinator,
yes,
and you're going to tell us about Showhouse 37.
yes.
Okay.
I was not president, coordinator, and showhouse design coordinator all at the same time, but over a period of time. But in speaking of time, I think you know, but a lot of people don't, that Vanguard Showhouse actually began in 1980. There had been a lot of discussion about it, and actually, believe it or not, I was young then, and I
we all were.
Some of this I can remember. Some of this I can remember. Well, we had trouble getting it off the ground because it was obviously a major project to undertake. But one of our presidents, Pat Brown, finally decided, look, somebody's got to do something here, and she contacted the Institute, Albany Institute of History and Art, and she set up something called design vignettes. They were like parts of rooms, like you would go into in the institute, and in those days they had in the back of the building, the original building, a large auditorium, and on a big circle, a dais raised up, they had wedge-shaped divisions, and she found, and I don't know the exact number, but I'm going to say at least 10 designers who made up spaces, design spaces. Yeah. And they were just lovely. And I worked downtown in the plaza at that time, and I made a point of going up on a lunch hour one day to look at them. They were marvelous, and we were well on the way at that point.
Wow, what a creative undertaking.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and I think an awful lot of people in the years since who have worked on this never knew Pat and never knew who really got it started, because they still think of it as always a house or an apartment. We've done apartments.
I certainly did in the beginning, so we had give great credit to Pat Brown.
So then time goes on. They 2 years, I think, later, I had that in my notes, but I do think I had to put my glasses on to see. We did 3 houses down in what was called then the Pastures, and that was very interesting because, 3 restored houses. So the city of Albany at that point was trying to get that area more back, yes, and more people living there, more people interested in it. A lot of people from Albany didn't even know it was there. And they had these beautiful old but very small in spaces houses. But the designers, again, as they've always done, they stepped up to the plate. They did a wonderful job. I remember, well, I did not work on those. I have to say I went as a visitor because, again, my children were small and I had to go back to work and all that sort of thing. But it was interesting because the houses were so old that some of the floors sloped. But they had been inspected, and the city said they're safe, it's okay, and the stairways held up all the the people going up and down for 2 weeks.
The Pastures was such a lovely area.
And the houses were interesting, and the spaces were small, but they were very homey, just really nice. So that was interesting. And then we did 2 condos out in Guilderland, what is now the Albany Country Club, which was, yes, it was there when we did these. As you go up the hill toward that, over to the left are, I think they're condos, not apartments, and they did side by side in two totally different styles. That drew a lot of people, and over the years we've done so many different kinds of houses, as you know.
You have.
You know, and then I remember the year I was president, I mentioned that there was a place that I thought was coming available over in Troy. And what did I hear? It's across the river. And I said, you're right, it is. But we have bridges now. So
there was a lot that you had to work with in the very beginning, or work against preconceived notions of.
Barbara, it's like anything else. You know, when you're going into new territory, you have to encourage some people to come with you.
That's right.
But Vanguard has been just that. It's been on the vanguard of a lot of things.
It has been.
And so the house in Troy was a tremendous success. People loved it. And for that one, I was the design coordinator. And actually, that was more work than being president.
Yes,
really
it is.
It's
that is a very big job.
People don't realize the coordinator and the chair of the house, who takes care of all the other things that don't have to do with the actual design part. But when you say design coordinator, it's our designers.
Huge project.
Our designers.
It's a lot of personality in a small space sometimes.
A lot of different kinds of personalities and creative personalities and all kinds of things. But it's always worked out. We've always made it work so that the public is, has something beautiful to go to. The designers feel that they have been able to express their abilities and their tastes and so forth. The symphony has always come away with more money than they had before we started.
It is the largest of the fundraisers that Vanguard does. I can attest to the fact that it is a lot of work. I will admit to the fact that I've been a member of Vanguard for a while and worked on some of them.
You've done it all.
I've done some of those things too, and they're a pleasure to do. And part of the pleasure is getting to meet so many of the artists that step up to the plate for us. That now we have found these homes from these small homes in the pasture, from the Institute of History and Art to the grand mansions in Loudonville, to keeping up with the times, to the wonderful modern condos now, all of which present a huge challenge to the designers to make this work, make fit.
Well, what's wonderful for us is that we've always got the people from Vanguard there to be a net for us too, because we have gone into especially some of the older historic homes where I know you ladies have been out there in the middle of the night with a bucket of paint, whether you wanted to or not, you were doing it, and I think you've really. I remember one house where somebody was out in the back wrangling mice out of a pool house.
Yes. Soaking up water out of the basement.
Soaking up water in the basement. So it's
then the ceiling that fell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Several ceilings that fell.
Several. Oh, I knew about one.
But let me say something about Mary before we go any further, because I think of, and I think Georgiana will agree, and I think most of Vanguard would agree too, the designers that come to work with us at the Vanguard Showhouse year after year after year represent some of the finest talent in this region. It's a step even further than interior design, which I don't demean at all. It's a fabulous, fabulous occupation, and I wish that I could do that. But our interior designers that come to Showhouse bring a wealth of arts background with them, it just seems like. And they've done other things in their life, like Mary. She's a decorative artist. She's done canvas painting, set designs, murals. She even uses ceilings as a canvas.
Are the best.
So these people are really artists. This show, Open Door on the Arts, praises the interior design occupation as art.
It's also opened homes to us that we would not have had the opportunity to go into. The first one that I did with Georgiana on Washington Park, one of those fabulous houses that you walk past and, what a dream to go inside.
14-foot ceilings.
Beautiful,
downstairs.
beautiful. But even down to 17 Chapel. And that,
That's a big
that
difference,
historic
yes.
neighborhood and the way that's coming back to be on the edges of actually watching a neighborhood. And it's happened a couple of times. It happened in Troy. It's happening downtown, the down on Union Avenue with Schenectady. Vanguard really has been very much on the vanguard of neighborhoods.
That's
Chapel Street
changing,
was one of
too.
the first, you're right.
That's
and
nice
the
to hear
designers,
that. That's
we had
nice
3
to hear that.
spaces there. And the designers, again, that was totally different from whatever had happened the year before. They're
Lord
always
knows.
different from each
And
other.
17 Chapel, we got, not going down to Chapel Street. But once people got down there, what an amazing
What an
neighborhood.
amazing place. It was. It
So,
is.
and it,
still is.
and it's happening, well, this year with Sage Estates,
Yes.
that's
a
everyone's.
return to the grandeur.
We're
Yes,
back,
that will be-
but again, overlooking the Hudson and the history there by Albany Rural Cemetery. What an amazing,
What a beautiful
historic part of Albany. And
And you've actually announced it, so we should.
I'm so sorry.
No,
Should I not
I
have
wanted
done
someone
that?
to announce it. So this is really good. I didn't say that in the
Sage
beginning. That
Estates,
this
we're in
year's
Sage
Showhouse.
Estates.
This year's Showhouse is at Sage Estates in Menands, and it's quite a remarkable neighborhood. And I don't know the number of square footage, but it's a very large house. It's a very, very large house. So a number of designers will be there. Mary will be doing the dining room there. So we want for sure for all of you to get into the dining room.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about, you have come back to Vanguard for 15 years.
Oh, Lord.
What are the things that bring you
Well,
back?
first of all, you're such flatterers.
Yes. Well, there is
And I'm
that.
so easily
we
flattered.
appreciate it.
So easily flattered. But and I say that all the time. It's like, and it's a little bit like childbirth or putting on a show. We were talking about it is very much putting on a show. You kind of forget. Like,
pain.
it wasn't that bad. But it really isn't. For me, the opportunity of working with people who do what I do, and not to sound sexist, but it is a lot of women who are in a business that, construction and painting and getting down and dirty. Most of us don't look really pretty every day. We have a change of clothes in the car depending on what hat we're wearing. Am I a designer or a painter
That's right.
now?
That's right.
I have a clean shirt. I can be a designer. But it's fabulous to work with, again, a lot of women that I don't see except at Showhouse. And it's always like Old Home Week, and everyone is incredibly supportive. You don't have a level, somebody else has a level. Someone always has a hammer, somebody
Yes,
has
there
a
is
piece
that.
of tape. There is just a spirit
camaraderie
of,
that
it's
takes
wonderful.
place.
And again, from the ladies, you guys always have the right screwdrivers, or if you don't, you have a cup of tea. Well, we feel
Counts.
sad because we can't go on because we are missing a tool. But it's wonderful to stretch. It's wonderful to walk in and say, "Go ahead, you can do whatever you want."
Then that's what I was going to say.
Well,
But go ahead,
one year
Georgiana.
I happened to be in the unfinished house, and I got talking with one of the younger designers, and she was talking about how much hard work it was and so forth. But she said, "You know what I love about being part of Showhouse is that it's so collegial." Because she said, "I have all these other designers around me, or artists," because she did that kind of work as well. And she said, "We can talk and we learn from each other," and she just felt refreshed, even though it was hard work.
Yeah. And there's always the who's got the dirtiest hands contest, And the same thing with the interior designers who are down and dirty, and really don't underestimate those of us who are kind of hybrids between the arts and the artisans and the design. The people who are designers, you don't see the magic. You don't see, again, everybody's got a change of clothes. You don't see them. One minute you've got beautiful trousers and shoes
That's a
on.
terrific point that you make.
Everybody gets dirty.
If you hire an interior designer and they come to your home and they sit there and they're looking and they come up with the plan, you don't necessarily realize that when it comes time, in your case for sure, to put the paint on the wall, that it may actually be you, not just supervising that, but doing that, or to create that stunning ceiling art. You're going to be doing that.
You have to know the mechanicals to know what's being done right and what's being
beyond
done
the
wrong.
ideas. You have to be able to execute.
And have a stapler and some tape and
Yes.
the right screwdriver.
A ruler.
A ruler, or at least know exactly how big your hand is so you can measure things.
Oh, that's a good point.
Now, how do you decide? I know that Vanguard works to assign designers certain spaces. So you were given the dining room. How do you decide then how you're moving forward? Here you have the dining room. It's your blank slate. You're working with a concept that perhaps the Vanguard has, perhaps the homeowner has. But you're going to, what happens next? What's that next step?
Well, we're very fortunate this year. The house, there are times, again, using 17 Chapel, we walked in and that was a building under construction.
Yes, it
we
was.
saw it. It was down to the studs. There
Yes,
was
it was.
nothing there. So it really was. And Seth, the owner, was fabulous. He let us pick out countertops and cabinets. And here at Sage Estates, it's just a gorgeous house to begin with. The wonderful thing is there's no repairs. I mean, everything is in lovely
that's
shape,
grand.
going right in. And you've been there doing repairs. And, you know, again, you ladies know how to caulk and tape.
And Georgiana and I remember plaster ceilings falling down.
Plaster
in the
ceilings
older
going.
homes.
So it's wonderful not having that. Plus, I have, in the past, I've almost always brought in furnishings. I've got some great partners in the Capital District. A little shout out to DCN Furniture, who
Wonderful.
loaned me
Very-
furniture for
very
years.
generous.
Very
But
good to
This year,
Vanguard.
the homeowner had this absolutely beautiful dining set that I'd have to be a crazy woman to take out of there. So we're replacing her chandelier, and even though it's a traditional set, in sitting and talking to the client, they're now my clients. They're not paying me, but they're my clients, and I want them to love it, and I want them to love it after I leave. So we talked about it, and one of their, not issues, but one of their
Concerns.
wishes for the room was to have it be a little more contemporary.
Okay.
Very traditional furnishings in there. So we're doing that in part through color. We're doing it through texture. I've got a fabulous finish that's going on the wall that is almost cement-like to give it
Wow.
a lot of texture and at the same time lots of shimmer. And even though I've got 9-foot ceilings, I feel the need to put something up on the ceiling. So
Art.
we're doing, well, it's going to be more geometry. As opposed, you know, in the past I've done florals and soft, free-form, very organic things, and this is much more structured and architectural. So, and hopefully they will love it and they will keep it afterwards, because that's kind of our gift to somebody for
It is.
being incredibly generous and moving out of their house and
It is.
letting crazy ladies come in for
No,
months at a time.
Now, I do have to say, though, that because I've worked with some wonderful men, so that we can't only
You know what?
say
I keep
ladies. We
saying
have
women, and it's not. That's true.
Extremely wonderful men.
There are
male
wonderful
interior
designers
and painters. Right.
and
that-
husbands who sometimes drive people when trucks break down.
Yes. Support.
Yeah,
Support the arts.
We've had some owners who have been wonderful, and then we won't talk about the others.
For me, though, you know what?
We protect you.
I have, you have, and you do. You always have our back. Thank goodness, because sometimes it's not. It's just. I can just imagine how tough it's got to be to have this cast of thousands all of a sudden in a place that you must love because you want to show it off, so you love it, and a lot of, again, really strong personalities.
Yeah, and there are so many different reasons that someone may turn over their house to Vanguard. So you're meeting people at different stages of their lives. That they're just moving in, they're just moving out, they've just they're turning it over, but there are, or like in pastures, they're trying to restore and bring back.
Yep,
So
yeah.
there are always, or in chapel, they're
Showing
restoring
off
this
a new
amazing, amazing undertaking and hoping people will come in to stay. So there are scenarios, different scenarios every single year that Showhouse has done that kind of drives home some of the way things are going to be handled or the way they need to be handled.
Well,
And if it didn't work out well for all the participants, at least most of the time, all of the participants, then over this period of time, somebody would have caught on that this is not a good thing to do.
That's right.
And yet we're still doing it, and people still come and love it, and so we're all doing things
I have
at
to
least
tell
in the
you,
right direction.
I have been back to show houses. Just last year, I was back to down in the Pine Hills, redoing a little bit of a space, doing a new space for. So the fact that she in particular and her husband felt good enough to reach out and find my business card and invite me back.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
That's always a wonderful
It's
feeling.
wonderful.
And in general, to see, people always ask us why we do it. Do you get business from it? And it's really, it's
Not as much as we hope.
not
you
as
might.
much, but you know what? It's so funny because generally I change my business cards every year, every 2 years, and I have gone in and done homes that obviously are freshly bought, where they have these old tatty cards that they've been holding on to, waiting to buy that house and call you in to either replicate something they saw in a show house or just,
Very nice. Eventually it'll come.
and you try and pretend to be the person that they thought you were.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did that room, but I can.
Well, Georgiana, how we know how it started with the Institute of History and Art. When now that it seems to be, it's still very flexible in terms of what we might be looking for, but when does that search have to begin? How
sometimes
time-consuming is this
Well,
fundraiser?
it's very time consuming. But I can think of times when we've actually known when we left one house where we would be going next year. Now that is not the
Rare.
usual. That is not the usual. Sometimes, I can remember one year that we got up to February and we weren't sure. And it was very, very worrisome because this is what we give the symphony. This is we give the symphony a lot of other things, support of
Yes.
other kinds.
Yes.
But when it just comes to playing, giving them a contribution of money, this is obviously
This
our
is the
main
biggest
fundraiser.
one.
And we were very, very worried, but I can't explain it, but it always works out somehow.
And you were worried because our audience may not realize the designers
Oh, they have to
really
have time.
need to get in there by the 1st of March
They have to have time.
to have those.
Are you
2
looking
months,
at me and making me feel
to
guilty?
have those 2 months
Well,
to
for
prepare?
example, not only do they have to, they're supposed to give us 3 rooms that they most want to do with plans for, and then we go through and decide who's going to do
There's
what.
a whole process.
But then they have to order their product,
Yes.
whether it's paint or fabric or whatever. They have to arrange to get furniture. Sometimes, obviously the designers can't be expected to go out and buy a room full of furniture. That's
Right.
not realistic. They have to have arrangements with furniture stores and so forth and so on. That takes a lot of time. When you think of the number of things all out there that are all got to come together on, say, April 29th for
Yes.
the show, for the
Yes.
preview party,
Yeah.
which this year is April
May 1st.
May 1st.
May 1st.
And it has done this year after year after year. But obviously, it takes a lot of people working together, including the homeowners or the apartment developers or whoever it is, all wanting it to happen
On time, on
Yeah.
schedule.
And so our winters we do not lay fallow over the winter.
It's a time of search.
It's a time of search, and then the spring, early or late winter is when decisions have to be made.
when the designers
Then-
come in and look at
Right.
the space.
Yeah. So if we're holding the show house, and this is May now, and people come through and somebody says, I have this house. I wonder if they'd be interested in it. We don't let them out the door. We make the appointment.
We want that telephone number right
Yes.
away. Well, we have about 5 minutes, so I think our audience is understanding completely. So now we have the designers in there by March 1st. They have 2 months to create this magic.
We go
Can you
out with
always
our.
do that,
you
Mary?
start rattling your cup
Can you
quickly
always
to.
do that, Mary?
Please, well, I again this year I'm really lucky.
Yes.
In the past, Wahlberg has supported me. She Electric up in Clifton Park is supporting me. I can't go out and buy a $2,000 chandelier. I cannot.
But we
My
have
husband
wonderful
would be very
support in the
sad.
community that
We have paint
speaks to
stores
these.
like Sherwin-Williams, and our local Bet Herzog's is doing my paint this year, and Metropolis is giving me, I don't even know how many hundreds of dollars worth of product to put on the walls.
So while Vanguard may
Huge
sit
support.
Can I
at
just
the
put in
helm,
a plug here?
Sure.
Anybody who goes to the house and likes it, please remember that these people, and the names of the support groups that, Sherwin-Williams, for instance, is out there. Think about what they've done for your symphony, because we're all doing it for that.
Exactly.
Think about that.
Very much of the community.
exactly what I was
my
just-
carpenters coming in this year, they just finished doing druthers up in Saratoga. They're not looking for work, but they are being very kind and coming
doing
and
it.
doing ceiling work for me. So, these are the best of
So
the
that's
best.
like the best of Trinkle Down. While Vanguard may sit
absolutely.
at that helm and find the house, it's really a community, and the artists who are the designers that come in and make this
it
happening work. I do want to mention that there always is a preview party, and there will be a preview party this year on May 1st. At the home right next door to this house. So that's very convenient. You'll just go right next door. And that's a special price. You can find that on the website. But you'll be entertained. You'll get the first peek at that at the show house. And then Vanguard opens on May 3rd. I'd like you to go to their website, which you will see at the end of this. And it's a wonderful, very accessible website, and it will tell you all the different times during the week. It's closed Monday, every other day open, and it'll give you the times. There are special programming planned. There's a wonderful luncheon that I could recommend.
Yes, the cafe's always great.
Cafe 333 Cafe, Delaware Avenue, Del Mar, for the second year in a row, is doing the luncheon, and it's magnificent from what I understand. And Libby, who runs that cafe and owns it, her mother was with the symphony orchestra for many years, and so she does a special meal planning for us for this luncheon. There are special events happening. Go to the website. You'll see it all, and plan a full day lunch. Come see Mary if she's doing a special program
Thank you.
this
Don't
year.
forget the shop.
We're doing tours.
Don't forget the shop.
You can shop for Mother's Day
Amazing.
there, or for graduations.
Grandchildren.
And I even start my Christmas shopping there.
Yes, it's a good place to start Christmas shopping. So please,
sales tax.
Vanguard Showhouse.
Say it louder.
No sales tax. That's right, no sales tax.
And many
you'll be
things
supporting
are
the
for
symphony
sale in the
orchestra.
rooms.
Thank you so much for being here, and we'll be looking for you at the show house. Thank you.